So, we have a little treat from the insane asylum. My dear friend Janos Marton, who is he's the master, the director of a House of Mad Geniuses, an artist asylum. HBO did a documentary on it a number of years ago called The Living Museum, which can be seen on HBO, nowhere else, actually. And it's a place that I stumbled on maybe 10, 12 years ago, and I've been going to, and it's just, every time I go there, I'm in awe, amazed. And maybe you will be too. Come on out, Janos Marton, and give him a welcome.
I would like to show the first 5 minutes of the documentary from the HBO movie. And then afterwards, I would like to tell you why I'm showing it to you. And if you want to ask questions, and if you have time, we can do that also. Okay, we have, I think, 15 minutes. Please, could you play the movie, please? Raphael?
It's gone.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
It's an incredible prejudice, really, you know, the separation between mentally ill, between patients and so-called normal world, you know. If I'm teaching anybody anything, it's how to transfer your vulnerability into your weapon through art. My name is Janos Marton, and I am the director of the Living Museum, and I'm pretty much the person who's running the place here. It is located at Creedmoor Psychiatric Center, which is a state mental institution, and it is a place where people come and create art, and the people happen to be people of mental illness. It was started by my friend Bolek, who is an artist, and myself. We went to school together, actually in art school together. I was working here as a psychologist. And luckily, this building was given to us. Originally, it was a dining hall and kitchen. And then over the years, it became a warehouse. So when we took over, this was a storage space down here. And then slowly, we filled it up with art. It is an oasis where it is all right that you have symptoms of disturbances. It's all right to be mad or crazy or whatever society calls the kind of behavior that you are exhibiting. That gives great comfort. Also, there are no rules here. Modern art is all about breaking the code. And that is a fertile ground for creating new and interesting work. Bolek was always interested in large-scale projects, and his interest was in conceptual art that has some meaning. Art is not just what's happening on the frame, but what is happening in your brain and what is happening in your life as a consequence of what's in front of you. In that sense, the whole Living Museum is a conceptual art piece. You know, not just the paintings that are beautiful, but how the paintings come about. who come here to visit, I want them to appreciate the artwork. I want them to have the same experience as they go to the Museum of Modern Art or the Whitney or whatever. And I don't even think there is a difference here. I think the difference is that we are better, we are more interesting, because we are more honest. There is a total lack of pretension here. You won't find one artist here who is pretentious. And I couldn't say the same thing about the Whitney. This is just straight up art. And the trick to it is that if you just do art or if you just produce art here, it becomes therapeutic in that you change your identity. You change your identity from that of a mental patient who is hospitalized, locked up, to that of an artist. And very few therapies can claim such a tremendous leap towards health. Bolek did not have an affinity to the mentally ill, and that was one of his strengths. He didn't see them as mentally ill.
Whoever comes, you know, is accepted as a friend and colleague.
So Blanche, what is this? Sketch? No portrait? Today?
He loved their art. He loved the strength of the motivation. He was very intense.
But I think that they are perfect, you know. You should just leave them as they are.
Bolek was primarily an actor. You know, he was a famous actor in Poland. He was very funny.
What are you looking at? Huh?
He was a radical thinker, and he had no limits as an artist. He was independent. And freedom is the biggest thing for an artist. You know, that you don't have to kiss anybody's behind.
Okay, Raphael, thank you very much. You know, very few inventions in psychology, very few new things, actually. And I feel that we have here in the Living Museum sort of an invention that is evidence-based. We have been doing it for 30 years, very successfully. And most importantly, it is an inexpensive project. I am the only staff person there, and we have about 100 people who come there on a regular basis daily. And the reason why I wanted to show it to you is because I feel that people should find out that projects like that are possible, especially nowadays with the economic downturn. It would be so nice to have collaboration between artists and psychologists, artists and mental hospitals, and start art asylums of the sort that we have been doing in Queens for over 20 years. And that's a very important aspect, you know, that it is not a new idea, it is a tried-out idea. At the turn of the century, not just in the United States, but also all over the world, there was a big reform movement liberating the mentally ill. And beautiful buildings were built all across the country, all across the world, actually. And these buildings are now being downsized, are being given away, sold off, or just left abandoned. And it is kind of a shame because epidemiologically, the number of mentally ill people remain the same. You know, they are stabilized, the medication works very well, they can have much more independent lives than before, but nevertheless, mental illness is staying with you, and you do need asylum spaces, the old-fashioned asylum spaces, where you can be yourself and you can rely on the very important aspect of your life, which is creativity. Mentally ill people are extremely creative, all mentally ill people. Modern art and mental illness are sort of in the same domain. Given that, and given the real estate, because art and real estate are also the same business, given the real estate, it would be so important right now to try to get those buildings and organize asylums around the idea of art and creativity. You know? So that is basically the idea, and I hope that people who are either connected to the field of art, are connected to the real estate, are connected to mental hospitals, are somehow in touch with mentally ill people would pick up on this idea and learn from our experience in Queens. That's why I wanted to present it to you, and I hope somebody will learn from it and start these new projects. We already have several similar projects all over In America, there's one in California, there's one in Nyack, in New York, there's one on Long Island, there's one in Switzerland, and over and over again, I hear how fantastically it works and how nicely it works. So that's about it. So if you have any questions, please ask. You know, Creedmoor is New York State, so I have a hard time having a website because, you know, it's kind of official and they don't want to have the freedom that is associated with the artists there. So we don't have an official website. And if you Google Living Museum, there's a lot of stuff published, and I can also give out my telephone number. You can call me. We are open to the public, and you make an appointment with me because I don't want to overwhelm the place by visitors. So you have to call me. Afterwards, you can come and I give you the information. It's 718-264-3490. That is 718-264-3490. Yes. Well, you know, over the years, I kind of gave up on educating the public about mental illness, and we are more of a segregationist project, you know. So we created a little spot of utopia, and so we are very happy doing it there. So educating the public, stigma, and all that stuff we don't quite participate in it, you know. But you can come and see the art, talk to the people, etc. Well, psychophobia is an important aspect because most people are not aware of what it is. You know, racism, sexism, most people have an understanding of it. They even recognize it in themselves. You know, I'm sexist, I do this, I'm racist, I do that, etc. But psychophobia, sort of the fear of the other, the fear of mental illness, is something that most people are not aware of. So people project lots of things onto the field, onto psychiatrists, onto mental hospitals, onto medication, onto mentally ill people, etc. So psychophobia is something that is around and people should know about. Yes? It's the terrible thing about mental illness and psychophobia is that your self-definition, you know the stigma out there and people projecting things on you, it's very little you can do about it at this point. But what you do to yourself is very important. So in a way, my goal is that people with mental illness who come to the museum think of themselves as artists, mainly as crazy artists. You know, that's a much more comfortable self-identity. And it has to be a real one, though. You know, it cannot just be by fiat, by me declaring you an artist. It has to be exhibits, you have to sell, you have to be in documentaries, etc. But this self-definition is an incredible leap towards happiness and health even, yeah. Well, you know, the HBO film was seen by millions of people, so they featured about 6 artists. But, you know, these 6 artists are great, all of them, but, you know, everybody else is great there, really. You know, it's... Gladwell tore down the idea of the genius, you know, and he said, you are a genius if you do 10,000 hours something with exuberance and happiness. So people who've been working there for 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, they're becoming better and better, and they're becoming geniuses slowly, you know. We participate in shows, in exhibits. We might be in the Outsiders Art Show this year. People can sell it at the Living Museum also, so they're free to sell. You know, if we sell the museum, it's always 100% goes to the artists. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.